I found out my sister stole everything I had ever saved in the ugliest way possible, standing in the middle of my bank lobby with a banker whispering, "Ma'am? Your account has a balance of $73. At first, I thought he was joking. I laughed, a shaky little sound that didn't sound anything like me, but the look on his face, tight, uncomfortable, already bracing for my reaction, told me this wasn't a mistake. This was real. And the moment he slid the printed statement across the desk, my heart fell straight through the floor. Right there in black ink were withdrawal after withdrawal, all signed with my name. My signature, but not mine. The world didn't spin. It cracked. Wait. That's impossible, I said, even though something inside me already knew exactly whose handwriting that was. My sister, Dana, had always been good at copying my mama's cursive. Too good. Back in high school, she used to sign my mama's name on detention slips for me, laughing like it was a game. But this wasn't a game. This was my life savings. $42,000 I'd crawled my way toward over more than a decade of double shifts, missed holidays, and going without things I couldn't afford to buy. I kept blinking at the paper like the numbers might magically shift back to what they were supposed to be. My hands were cold, even though it was warm in the bank. And all I could think about was my daughter, Alana, graduating in 3 weeks, the dress she'd been so excited to try on, the cap and gown fees I had proudly saved for, the little hotel room I planned to surprise her with so she could invite her 2 closest friends for a girls' night after the ceremony. All of it gone. "Are you sure this was you?" the banker asked gently. "No," I whispered, my voice breaking on the word. "No, I didn't sign any of this. I didn't withdraw anything." He hesitated, then leaned in. "Ma'am, the signature matches the one on file." I almost laughed again, bitter this time. Of course it matched. Dana made sure of that. She knew exactly how I curled my L's and dotted my I's with that tiny upward flick at the end. She knew because she was the one who practiced it alongside me when we were little. She used to say, "Girl, if I ever need to sign something for you, I got you." She said it like a joke. I should have known my sister's jokes always came with teeth. My phone buzzed in my purse and I ignored it until it buzzed again and again. Finally, I pulled it out. 3 missed calls, all from Dana. Then a text. "We need to talk. Please don't freak out." The nerve! I walked out of the bank like I was moving underwater. The sun too bright, the air too sharp. Everything felt wrong. My legs barely carried me across the parking lot and I leaned against my car, staring at that text until my eyes blurred. My phone rang again. Her. I answered but didn't speak. Okay, before you say anything," Dana's voice rushed through the speaker, too loud, too panicked. "I can explain. I didn't think it would escalate." "Dana," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Where is my money?" She went silent for a beat. Then, "I used it." "Used it for what?" There was a soft sniffle. Fake. I knew her fake cry anywhere. "I was in trouble. You know how it is. Bills piled up. Marcus lost his job again. The kids needed things, and I thought I could pay it back before you noticed. I swear I did." I closed my eyes and let her words hit me one after another, each slicing deeper. She knew exactly what that money meant. She knew how long I'd been saving for Alana's future, how I wanted to start her off with something, anything, so she didn't have to struggle the way I did. "You stole from me," I whispered. "No, I borrowed without asking." More silence. Dana finally said, quieter this time, "I'm your sister. I thought you'd understand." A hollow laugh slipped out of me. "You forged my signature. You emptied my life savings. And you think I should understand? I'll pay you back," she said quickly, desperation creeping back into her voice. "I swear, I just need time." "Time?" I repeated. "My daughter graduates in 3 weeks. I don't have time." She wasn't crying now. She was breathing hard, like she was angry. That was her way. Play the victim the moment she felt cornered. "Look, if you come at me like this, I really won't be able to help you. You're stressing me out, and I can't deal with stress right now." I almost dropped the phone. The audacity! My throat tightened so painfully that I had to swallow twice before I could speak. "Dana, I trusted you. I said I'll fix it, but you need to calm down." I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. I sat in my car for at least 20 minutes, gripping the steering wheel, feeling my entire world rearranging itself around this betrayal. I wasn't rich. I wasn't even comfortable. That money was everything I'd worked for, my safety net, my daughter's future, my peace of mind. And now, because of my own sister, I had nothing. But the universe wasn't done hitting me. I didn't know it yet, sitting there with tears burning down my face. But what Dana took from me was only the beginning. What her betrayal would cost me, emotionally, financially, physically, I hadn't even begun to imagine. And the next blow was coming faster than I could catch my breath.
I sat in my car long enough for the sun to shift, throwing a strip of warm light across my lap. But nothing inside me felt warm. My hands were still trembling when I finally turned the key in the ignition. I didn't know where to go. Home felt unsafe because I knew Dana would show up the moment she sensed I wasn't letting this slide. Work felt impossible, with my chest tight and my head pounding. There was no way I could face customers with a smile. And the bank was now the place where my life had cracked open. I pulled out of the parking lot anyway, letting the road lead me because my thoughts were too loud to guide me. Every memory of Dana pressed against me like weight. Her borrowing dresses and never returning them, forgetting to repay money I spotted her, shrugging off responsibility like it was something the rest of us invented solely to annoy her. I kept hearing her voice in my head. I thought you'd understand, as if my job wasn't already swallowing me whole, as if I wasn't balancing bills like a juggler on a tightrope, as if I could afford to lose $42,000 like it was pocket change. When I pulled into my driveway, the house looked exactly the same as it had that morning. Small, brick, a little faded, but I felt different. I stepped out slowly, every movement heavier than the last. My neighbor, Miss Loretta, was watering her roses in her robe like she did every morning. She looked over at me and frowned. "You all right, baby?" she asked, setting her watering can down. I wasn't all right. I was the opposite of all right, but I couldn't unravel right there on the lawn. Just a long morning, I lied. She didn't look convinced. Well, if you need anything, you know I'm right next door. I nodded, thankful but unable to form more words. I went inside and closed the door behind me, the quiet pressing against my ears. I slid down to the floor, my back against the door, and finally let myself sob. Ugly, helpless sobs I couldn't swallow anymore. I pressed my forehead to my knees and cried until my throat felt raw. When my phone buzzed again, I almost ignored it until I saw the caller ID, Alana. I wiped my face quickly and answered, trying to steady my voice. "Hey, baby." "Hey, Ma." She sounded cheerful, breathless. "Guess what? My teacher said I got the highest score in the whole class on my senior project." I closed my eyes. "That's amazing, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you." "I knew you would be," she said brightly. "Oh, and I finally picked the dress I want for graduation. I saved the picture. Want me to send it?" My stomach clenched hard. That dress, the one she'd been dreaming about for months. I swallowed the pain. "Yeah, send it to me," I said softly. The picture came through. A beautiful soft gold dress with a flowing skirt. Something elegant, but still youthful. She would look stunning in it. "Isn't it perfect?" she asked. "It is," I whispered. She couldn't hear the break in my voice. I didn't let her. "Okay, I gotta run. Love you." "Love you too." When I hung up, the house felt even quieter. My daughter deserved joy. She deserved celebration, and I had failed her without even knowing it. I forced myself to stand and went to my bedroom to grab the folder where I kept all my important documents. I spread everything across the bed. Bank statements, deposit receipts, work pay stubs. I needed proof. I needed something solid to take to the police. I knew my sister had touched my life for the last time. This wasn't a family argument. This was fraud, theft. But when I opened the most recent envelope from my mortgage company, my breath stopped. Notice of delinquency, second warning, payment required within 7 days. My hands went cold again. No. I dug through the pile for the previous month's statement and saw it. 1 late payment, then 2. But how? I'd set my mortgage on auto pay, always making sure the money was in the account ahead of time. Unless Dana had drained everything so quickly the payment bounced before I even knew it. No, not my house too, I whispered, pacing, the walls closing in. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and called the mortgage company. After 15 minutes of holding, a representative finally answered. "Ma'am," she said after reviewing my account, "we attempted to process your payment twice. Both attempts failed due to insufficient funds." Insufficient? Funds? 3 weeks ago, I had over $40,000. Now I didn't even have enough to cover a mortgage payment. If I pay next week, just 1 week, will it stop any further action? I asked, fear tightening around my ribs. Unfortunately, she replied, your account is already scheduled for review. I can't stop that process. But if your payment posts before the review is finalized, it may help. May? I echoed. I'm sorry. I hung up slowly, my pulse thudding in my ears. 7 days. 7 days to find a payment I no longer had. 7 days before something catastrophic could happen. I stumbled into the kitchen, needing water, air, something. And that's when someone started banging on my front door. Loud, urgent, like they had a right to demand my attention. I froze. Then a voice I recognized all too well shouted through the wood. Open the door, girl! We need to talk right now! Dana. Her voice was sharp, frantic, and getting more desperate by the second.
My whole body went rigid the moment I'd heard her voice. Dana didn't knock like someone who felt guilty. She knocked like someone who felt entitled, like I owed her my attention, my forgiveness, my silence. For a second, I just stood there in the kitchen, gripping the edge of the counter so hard my knuckles ached. My heartbeat was so loud it felt like the house itself could hear it. Come on, open the door, she yelled again, pounding harder. Stop acting brand new. Brand new. That phrase used to make me laugh. Now it twisted inside me like a knife. I took a breath, but it shook on the way in. I didn't want her in my house. Not after what she'd done, but I also knew she wouldn't leave unless I forced her to. And the last thing I wanted was my nosy neighbors seeing her out here making a whole spectacle. I walked toward the door slowly. Each step felt heavier. Before I opened it, I pressed my palm flat against the wood and whispered to myself, don't let her talk you out of being angry. Then I cracked the door and stepped halfway outside, blocking her from crossing the threshold. Dana stood on the porch wearing leggings, a stretched out t-shirt, and her usual I didn't do nothing wrong expression, chin lifted, eyes darting like she was already rehearsing excuses. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun, the same one she claimed she didn't have time to fix because her life was so stressful. The irony. We need to talk, she snapped. No, I said, keeping my voice low and steady. You need to leave. She pushed the door lightly, testing whether she could wedge herself inside. I held firm. Seriously? You're gonna act like this over a mistake? I told you I'm gonna pay you back. I laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. A mistake? Dana, you forged my signature. That's not a mistake. That's a crime. Oh my God, she groaned, rolling her eyes dramatically. Why are you being so dramatic? You're making it sound like I murdered somebody. She waved her hand dismissively. I thought you'd have my back. I'm your sister. That's exactly why this hurts. Because you're my sister. She crossed her arms, shifting her weight. Look, I didn't come here to fight. I came because I need your help. My stomach dropped. My help? You took $42,000 from me. That's why I need to explain. Her voice cracked. Not the fake cry this time, but real anxiety. That worried me more. Dana never panicked unless she knew she was cornered. Some people, she looked away. Some people are pressing me. What people? She didn't answer. Dana, my voice hardened. What people? When she finally looked at me, her eyes were red-rimmed. Not from tears, more like she hadn't slept. I owe money, real money, and they're threatening. I held up the hand. I don't want to hear this. You have to, she hissed. You think I wanted to touch your savings? You think I didn't know how mad you'd be? I tried everything else. I panicked. That doesn't make it okay. She stepped closer. Okay? I'm not asking for okay. I'm asking for help. Again, there it was, the truth. She wasn't sorry she took my money. She was sorry she got caught. Dana, I don't have anything left, I said softly. You took it all. I'm behind on my mortgage now. Did you know that? I might lose my house. For the first time, her expression faltered. I didn't know it was that bad. You drained my account. What did you think would happen? She swallowed hard. Look, I can pay you back. I just need one more week. Just one. I'm waiting on some cash. Cash from who? I asked, but she avoided my eyes again. Then, as if she sensed she was losing control, she switched tactics. Classic Dana. You know what? You're selfish, she snapped, her voice rising. You think you're the only one struggling? You think life hasn't been beating me down too? At least I'm trying to fix things. My jaw dropped. Fix things? You haven't fixed anything. You've made everything worse. No, she said, stepping closer, her breath hitting my cheek. I made a choice.
And you're my sister. You're supposed to help me survive. I did help you, I whispered. For years, I gave you money, rides, food, support, and you repaid me by stealing from me. Her face twisted. Fine. If you want to act brand new, go ahead, but don't call me when you need something. I stared at her, stunned by the audacity. I would never do to you what you did to me. She scoffed, then turned to leave. But halfway down the porch steps, she stopped, looked back, and said something that chilled me to the bone. Watch your mail this week. I frowned. What does that mean? But she didn't answer. She walked to her car, slammed the door, and sped off so fast the tires screeched. I stood there for a long moment, the air suddenly still and heavy around me. Watch my mail? I went back inside and locked the door, feeling pressure building in my chest again. I paced the living room, trying to calm myself, trying to think logically, but the sense of dread kept rising, thick and suffocating. Finally, I forced myself to check the mailbox, even though I knew it was too early for the day's delivery. I needed the reassurance. But when I opened it, my breath caught. Inside, sitting right on top of yesterday's flyers with a letter I hadn't noticed before. Thin, official looking, stamped with the name of a company I didn't recognize. My fingers trembled as I slid it out. The envelope was addressed to me, but the return address, the sender, my knees nearly buckled. It was a debt collection agency for a credit account I had never opened. In my name, with a balance of $18,400. My vision blurred so fast I have to grab the edge of the mailbox to steady myself. Dana hadn't just taken my money, she'd stolen my identity. For a moment, the world stopped moving. The air felt too thick to breathe, like someone had stuffed cotton in my lungs. I just stood there in front of my mailbox, gripping that envelope with my name printed so neatly across it, as if the debt belonged to me, as if I had signed up for this disaster willingly. My fingers went numb. My vision kept pulsing in and out, and I had to blink several times to steady myself. $18,400. Debt I didn't recognize. Debt I didn't create. Debt I didn't even know existed until this exact moment. I walked back into the house like a sleepwalker, closing the door behind me. I leaned against it and slid down, the envelope clenched in my fist like a piece of my life someone had ripped off and mailed back to me. My heart pounded so violently I could hear it in my ears. Dana's voice echoed in my mind. You should watch your mail this week. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a single-page notice with cold, clinical text. Final attempt to reach you regarding outstanding balance. Failure to respond may result in escalated action. Proof of identity attached to the original account application includes signature and photocopy of ID. My breath caught. Photocopy of ID. My ID. She had taken my wallet once a few months back, swearing she was looking for a spare gas card. I thought she had just rummaged through it the way she always did, but apparently she didn't just rummage, she copied. My stomach twisted so sharply I thought I might be sick. I grabbed my phone and called the number on the letter. The representative sounded bored, like she'd given the same speech 1,000 times already today. Ma'am, you are listed as the primary account holder. This debt has been active for 11 months. Ma'am, I never opened this account. Someone used my identity. This is fraud. We can investigate that, she replied, sounding slightly more awake. But you will need to file a police report against Dana. I swallowed hard. My hand trembled as I held the phone to my ear. When you complete the report, please send us the documentation. But until then, this debt remains under your name. I felt something inside me sink, heavy, cold, unbearable. Can you at least tell me what the charges were? I asked, even though I knew it would hurt. She paused. Several large purchases at various online retailers, cash advances, electronics, boutique clothing. Dana. All Dana. I thanked her, though the words scraped out of my throat like sandpaper, and hung up. The house felt wrong again. Too still, too empty, too ready to swallow me whole. I pressed my palms to my face and breathed in, then out, forcing myself not to break. But tears pushed through anyway, falling hot and fast. I cried until I couldn't see. Then I wiped my face and tried to breathe again. Fear wasn't new to me. I'd felt fear during breakups, layoffs, dark nights alone, sun bills. But this was a different kind of fear. This was fear mixed with violation, betrayal, humiliation. It sat in my chest like a stone. I didn't know how long I sat there before my phone chimed again. A new text. I hesitated,
praying it wasn't more bad news. It wasn't. It was from Alana. Mom, Coach just told us there's only one more week to pay for the senior trip fee. Did you handle it already? My heart cracked. I stared at the screen, blinking back tears that were already pooling again. Alana had been so excited. She had worked so hard all year, and I had promised her everything would go smoothly, that I had it handled. I typed slowly, "Baby, we'll talk about it later, okay? I love you." She sent back a heart emoji, not realizing her mama was falling apart. I tucked the debt letter into my folder of documents, then shoved it into a drawer. I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to look at anything. Instead, I grabbed my purse, keys, and jacket. I needed help. Real help. Not a motivational quote. Not a bubble bath, not pretending I was strong. I needed someone who could tell me how to fight back. So I drove to the police station. Every mile felt like walking barefoot across glass. My stomach twisted the whole time. The building looked too bright, too official, too full of consequences. But I forced myself inside. My knees felt weak, but I kept walking, straight to the front desk. A woman with tired eyes looked up at me. "Can I help you?" "Yes," I said, though my voice was shaky. "I need to file a report." She handed me a clipboard. "What kind? Lost property? Missing person? Identity theft?" She nodded and gestured to a row of plastic chairs. "Fill that out and an officer will call you." I sat down, gripping the pen so hard it almost snapped. My hand shook as I wrote my name, date of birth, address, nature of the report. When I reached the line marked suspected perpetrator, my hand stopped. I stared at it a long time before gently writing Dana Morris, my sister. I felt something break inside me, something deep, something old. By the time an officer called me back, I was numb. He asked questions, took copies of the documents, and finally said, "We'll investigate this." His tone was formal, not cold, not comforting, just standard, like I was another file in a long line of problems. I walked back to my car feeling hollow. When I sat in the driver's seat, I let out a long breath and rested my forehead against the steering wheel. There was no turning back now. But when I pulled into my driveway, I knew immediately something was wrong. My door was cracked open. Not wide, not broken, just not fully closed. My heart skipped. I stepped out of the car slowly, keys clenched between my fingers like a weapon. Every nerve in my body went sharp, electric. I could feel the danger before I saw it, like the air itself had changed. I pushed the door open gently. The living room lights were on. And there, sitting on my couch like she lived there, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened, was Dana, waiting for me. The moment I saw her sitting there, legs crossed, shoes kicked off, remote in hand like she owned the place, my whole body went cold. She didn't even look up right away. She just kept tapping on her phone, thumb flicking, wrist loose, like she hadn't shattered my entire life in less than 24 hours. "Dana," I said, my voice coming out low and sharper than I'd ever heard it. She finally looked up, eyes flicking to me with a mix of irritation and something else, something twitchy, nervous. "Finally, you took forever." I stepped inside and closed the door behind me. "Why are you in my house?" She shrugged, leaning back into the cushions. "The door was open." "No," I said, my voice steady with anger. "It wasn't open. You opened it." She smirked. "Girl, don't start with the dramatics. You always leave it unlocked. You're forgetful." I pointed at the door. "Get out." Her smirk vanished. "No, no." I repeated, stunned. Dana stood up, folding her arms over her chest. "I told you earlier, I need your help, and you ran off to play victim somewhere instead of helping me fix this mess." "Fix your mess," I corrected. "Whatever. Look, I didn't come to fight. I came because things have gotten worse." "Worse?" I asked. "Dana, there is nothing left to get worse." Her expression shifted. Fear. Real fear flashed across her face. It startled me. Dana didn't scare easily. Her whole life, she managed to destroy everything in her path without ever having to clean up the pieces. She looked around the room like she expected something to jump out. "There are people looking for me," she whispered. "I guessed that," I shot back. "But whatever trouble you're in, it's not my job to save you." She didn't react. Instead, she stepped closer. Too close, and lowered her voice. "I heard you went to the police." My heart lurched. "How do you know that?" I asked. She tapped her phone. "I have trackers, girl. alerts. I see stuff. You forget your address, your name, that phone plan. I helped you set some of it up. A chill moved over my skin. I suddenly felt watched in my own home. You went through my accounts? I whispered. She didn't answer. That was enough of an answer. My stomach nodded. Dana, what did you do? Her eyes darted around again. Her hands, always steady, always polished, were trembling. The people I owe money to, they don't care that you're not involved. They don't care about family or right or wrong. They want their money. And they said if I don't give it to them by tomorrow, they're coming for anybody tied to me. Anybody tied to you? I repeated slowly. Dana, what does that even mean? She stepped toward me like she needed shelter. It means you need to hide me, at least for a few days. Please. I stared at her, speechless. Hide you? In this house? After what you've done? Girl, I didn't have anywhere else to go. You shouldn't have come here, I said firmly. I filed a report. They will investigate. And if you stay here, you'll drag me down even further. She flinched. You filed the report using my name? No, I said coldly. Using mine, because I'm the one you stole from. Dana dropped onto the couch dramatically, burying her face in her hands. You don't understand. They're not going to stop. They already came to my job. Marcus kicked me out because he said I'm too dangerous to be around the kids. I've been sleeping in my car. You're the only one I got. Her words hit me hard, but not in the way she hoped. And what was I supposed to be, Dana? Your backup plan? Your hiding place? Your replacement bank? She didn't answer. My chest tightened again. I walked deeper into the living room, putting distance between us. My eyes kept drifting toward the folder drawer, where the debt letter was hidden, as if Dana might sniff it out. I got a notice today. Another one of your surprises. She froze. What notice? Debt in my name, I said. $18,000. Her face went blank, too blank. Then she sighed heavily like I was burdening her. Look, I needed money. And you used my name again? You always had better credit, she muttered. My jaw dropped. Are you even listening to yourself? Dana stood up, walking toward me. Her breath smelled faintly like stale coffee and mint gum. I'm fixing it, I swear. I'm working on it. By doing what? By surviving. She snapped. I stepped back. Well, you're not doing it here. Her expression shifted instantly from fear to anger. You act so perfect, like you never struggled, like you never needed help. You think you're better than me now? I think I'm tired, I said quietly. Tired of carrying you. Tired of paying for your mistakes. Tired of pretending you're just messy when you're dangerous. Dana's lip curled. You know what? You're ungrateful. After everything I've done for you, everything you've done for me, I repeated, stunned. Dana, I tried to ruin you. For a second, she looked genuinely hurt. Then her eyes hardened. I didn't ruin you, but I swear to God, if you don't help me, they will. She grabbed my wrist suddenly, too tightly, her fingers digging in. That's why I came here, to warn you. Warn me about what? I whispered. Her eyes darted toward the window. They followed me. A cold wave swept through me. Dana, I began, but she yanked my wrist again. If they saw me come in here, they'll think you're helping me. I jerked my hand free. Get out. No. Get out, Dana. We stared at each other, both breathing hard. Then there was a sound outside, a slow, crunching step on my front porch. Dana's eyes widened in terror, and a shadow moved past the window.
The shadow slid across the window like a dark smear, slow and deliberate. Dana's fingers flew to her mouth. Oh God, they found me. I backed up until my spine touched the hallway wall. Dana, who is out there? She didn't answer. She just stared at the curtains like she expected them to be ripped open. Another step creaked on the porch. Heavy, confident, not hesitant like a lost neighbor, not rushed like a kid playing around. This was the kind of step someone takes when they already know exactly where they're going. Dana grabbed my arm. We need to hide. I shook free. I'm calling the police. As I fumbled for my phone, Dana lunged and snatched it from my hands. No, Dana, give it, she whispered harshly. You can't call them. If the cops show up, they'll think I ratted. That'll make things worse. For who? You? I snapped. For you, she fired back. They don't care about me anymore. They want their money, and they'll take it from anybody attached to me. Another thud hit the porch. This one closer, lower, like someone testing the boards with their heel. My heart slammed against my ribs. The living room suddenly felt too open too exposed. Dana, I need you to tell me exactly what you did. Her throat bobbed. It wasn't supposed to get this big. I borrowed money. Just a little at first. But when I didn't pay back fast enough, they added interest and penalties and more penalties. Then they said I needed collateral. And you gave them what? I asked, horrified. She hesitated. Her eyes flicked toward me. I gave them your address. My stomach dropped. So fast I felt dizzy. You what? She flinched like she expected me to hit her. It was before everything happened. I didn't think they'd really come here unless I ran. And I wasn't planning to run. You stole $42,000, I yelled in a whisper. What did you think they would do? Send you a thank you card? Dana was shaking now, her breath hitching. They said if I didn't pay back the 40 plus their fees, they'd take whatever I owed from whomever was responsible for me. I'm not responsible for you, I said, my voice trembling. They don't care what's true. They just want money. And if they think you have any, a hard, deliberate knock rattled the door. I froze. So did she. 3 slow pounds. Not frantic. Not polite. A message. Dana covered her mouth to keep herself from sobbing. The knock came again, louder. Then a voice. Deep, low, steady, filtered through the door. Dana. Opened the door. I nearly jumped out of my skin. He said her name. Not Miss. Not hello, not excuse me. He said her name, like he'd said it 100 times before. Dana backed away from the door until she bumped into the couch. We're dead, she whispered. I grabbed her shoulders. Look at me. Look right at me. Her eyes were wild. We are not opening that door. She shook her head violently. You don't understand. If we don't, I said, we are not opening the door. The man knocked again. This time softer, almost amused. I know you're in there, both of you. My blood ran cold. Both of you. How did he? No. Dana was right. They followed her. He kept talking, his tone conversational, like we were neighbors discussing trash pickup and not life-threatening debt. Dana, you should have answered your phone, or the 3 messages, or yesterday's warning. You knew I'd come collect. Dana was shaking so hard her teeth chattered. He continued, and your sister, she seems responsible. Smart. Maybe she can help you settle things. My heart dropped. He knew who I was. Dana, I gripped her shoulders harder. We need to move now. She stared blankly at the door. Where do we go? The back exit leads straight to the alley. They always put someone in the alley. They? I whispered. She nodded, shaking. He's not alone. As if to confirm it, a faint crunch came from the side of the house, another from the back steps. My vision blurred for a second. We were surrounded. Dana grabbed my hand suddenly, squeezing so hard it hurt. I'm sorry, she choked. I'm so sorry. The voice at the door said, I'm not here to hurt anyone. Just open up so we can talk. But the way he said it, no one with good intentions ever talks like that. Not in a tone that calm. Not when everyone inside is terrified. I looked at my front door. Thin wood, old hinges, nothing that could stop even a half-hearted kick. Then I looked at Dana. My sister, my betrayer, the person who destroyed my life, the person who brought danger straight to my door. And I whispered the only thing I could think. Follow me. Don't make a sound. We crept toward the hallway, toward the bedroom, toward the window that opened to the neighbor's yard. And behind us, the doorknob began to turn. The doorknob twisting was the kind of sound that hits your body before your mind can process it. Like every instinct I had suddenly jolted awake and screamed, run. Dana grabbed my forearm, her nails digging in just enough to leave little crescents. I pulled her with me down the narrow hallway, past the linen closet and the bathroom, toward my bedroom. My heart slammed so hard against my ribs, I felt each beat in my teeth. Behind us, the front door hinges whined. They were pushing it, not kicking, not forcing, just applying pressure, like they already knew it would give. My legs moved faster. Dana whispered, he's inside. Oh God, he's inside. Quiet, I hissed. We reached my bedroom and I shut the door as slowly as I could manage. I didn't dare click the lock, just the sound of that tiny mechanism might echo in the silence. The window, the only way out. I hurried across the room, yanked up the blinds, and slid my fingers under the old wooden sash. It stuck. Of course it stuck. Everything in this house stuck. I shoved harder. Still stuck. Dana hovered behind me like a panicked shadow. Open it! Open it! I'm trying. The front door finally cracked open with a low groan. Their footsteps entered my house. 2 sets.
Heavy, steady, professional. Not teenagers, not amateurs. Dana's breath hitched and she clamped a hand over her mouth. I pushed the window again with everything in me. The wood scraped, jerked, then suddenly gave way and shot upward, rattling loudly against the frame. The sound echoed through the house. Footsteps paused. My stomach twisted into a knot. Then, one pair of footsteps began moving down the hallway, deliberate, measured, coming toward us. Dana whispered. I leaned out the window, scanning the neighbor's yard. It was empty, patchy with winter grass and scattered toys from the kids next door. No one outside, no eyes on us. We just needed to get down without breaking a leg. Go, I whispered urgently. Come on. Dana looked at the window like it led straight off a cliff. That's too high. Dana, move! She climbed onto the sill, hesitating, trembling so badly the blinds rattled behind her. I slid my arms under her back and pushed. Her body tumbled out with a soft thud onto the dead grass below. She groaned, but didn't scream. Good. I scrambled onto the sill next, but before I could jump, a floorboard creaked outside my bedroom door. Then came a low voice. Ladies, let's not make this difficult. I felt the blood drain from my face. He was right outside. I jumped. The ground hit me hard, knocking the air from my lungs. My knees buckled, but I forced myself onto my feet. Dana was already half crawling, half running toward the wooden fence dividing our yard from the neighbors. I grabbed her arm, hauled her upright, and we stumbled toward the fence together. Inside the house, my bedroom door opened slowly. He was in my room. He saw the open window. He knew exactly where we were headed. Dana and I reached the fence. It stood just over 6 feet tall, old planks cracked and leaning slightly to one side. I cupped my hands and bent my knees. Step on my palms. Hurry! Her foot slammed down harder than necessary, and she scrambled awkwardly up the fence, clawing at the edge. Her fingers curled over the top and she pulled herself to the other side, dropping down with a grunt. Then it was my turn. I backed up one step and froze. A man stepped into the backyard through the back gate. Tall, broad, wearing a plain black hoodie and jeans. He didn't look angry. He looked bored. Like this was routine. Like coming after us was just the next task on his to-do list. Our eyes locked. He tilted his head. Where you going, sweetheart? I didn't answer. I ran. I sprinted at the fence and jumped, grabbing the top plank and pulling myself up with everything I had. My muscles screamed, my hands burned, my foot slipped once, but I caught myself. Just as I swung one leg over, the man took a slow step forward, almost amused. You're wasting time. My body flipped over the fence and landed hard in the neighbor's yard. My ankle twisted painfully, sending a jolt up my leg. Dana rushed to help me, pulling me upright. Come on, she whispered desperately. This way. We ran along the side of the house, rounding the corner toward the street. Behind the fence, the man called out, She's over here! Voices answered, multiple. I felt a wave of cold wash through me. Not one, not two, 3 men, maybe more. We sprinted down the sidewalk, turning onto the next block. My lungs burned, my ankle throbbed, my vision blurred with panic and adrenaline. Dana gasped, I'm sorry, Nina. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I ruined everything. I ruined your life. Just keep running, I snapped. But even as I said it, I knew we couldn't run forever. I couldn't. My ankle was already faltering beneath me. I grabbed a stop sign to steady myself. Dana turned terrified. Are you okay? No, I admitted, sucking in a painful breath, but we don't have time. A black sedan turned the corner at the far end of the block. Slow, creeping, scanning. Dana froze. That's them. The car rolled past the intersection like a shark gliding through dark water. We ducked behind a row of trash cans in a stranger's driveway. My pulse thudded in my ears so loudly I could barely hear anything else. The sedan crawled along the street, slow, searching. Then it paused, right in front of the house we hid beside. Dana's fingers dug into my arm. Don't move. We stayed still. Breath stopped in our throats. The car idled. Then, the passenger door cracked open. A man stepped out, scanning the houses, scanning porches, scanning shadows. I held my breath so long my chest burned. Finally, after what felt like 20 full minutes but was probably only 30 seconds, the man got back in. The car rolled away down the block. But I didn't relax, because I knew what this meant. They were widening the search. They weren't giving up. Dana whispered, What do we do now? I stared down the road, my voice low, steady, harder than I'd ever heard myself sound before. We stopped running. Dana turned to me, confused. What? We can't stop. I said we stop running, because running won't save us. My fists clenched. We fight back. Dana's face drained of color. Nina, what are you planning? I watched the sedan slowly disappear into the distance, and I whispered, I'm planning to
end this.
The moment I said, "We fight back," I felt something shift inside me, like a door I'd been too scared to open finally swung wide. And in its place stood a version of me I hadn't met before, a version carved from fear, exhaustion, and a mother's unbreakable determination. Dana stared at me like she didn't recognize who I was. "Nina, fighting back? Against them? You don't understand what they can do." "No," I whispered sharply. "You didn't understand what they could do, and that's why we're here." She curled her arms around herself, crying quietly. "I didn't think it would get this bad." "You didn't think," I said coldly, "at all." We crouched behind the trash bins another minute, letting the cold wind numb the ache in my ankle. When the street finally emptied and the black sedan vanished completely, we slipped out and hurried down a side street lined with old brick duplexes and sagging porches. I kept my voice low. "We need to get somewhere safe, somewhere they won't think to look." Dana wiped her nose with her sleeve. "We don't have anywhere, Nina. We don't have anyone." She was wrong. We had one person, someone who knew every shortcut, every shadow, every street in this city. Someone who'd been on the wrong side of things once, but had turned her life around. Aunt Rochelle, my mother's older sister, a woman with a past and the instincts to survive danger most people couldn't even imagine. "We're going to Aunt Rochelle's." Dana's eyes widened. "She hates me." "She hates what you do," I corrected. "There's a difference." Dana opened her mouth to argue, but then she saw the fire in my eyes and closed it again. We cut through backyards, alleyways, and side streets, staying low every time a car approached. My ankle throbbed with every step, but adrenaline kept me moving. By the time we reached Rochelle's building, a tan duplex with peel and paint and a rusted screen door, my chest felt tight and my legs were on fire. I knocked once. No answer. I knocked again, harder. Still nothing. Dana looked around nervously. "Maybe she's not." The door swung open fast and Rochelle filled the doorway. She was a tall, deep brown woman with silver streak rocks pulled into a bun, wearing a faded Howard University sweatshirt and old denim shorts. Her eyes were sharp, always sharp, like she could see the truth before you spoke it. She took one look at our faces and stepped aside. "Get in." We slipped inside and she locked the door immediately, sliding 2 bolts and a metal latch into place. "Somebody follow y'all?" I said yes. "Who?" she asked without turning around. "Men looking for Dana." Dana sank onto the couch, trembling. "Please don't yell at me." Rochelle shot her a look that was somehow both flat and scorching. "Oh, yelling is coming later, but right now," she turned to me. "Tell me everything, quick." So I did. I told her about the $42,000, the forged signature, the fraud, the debt collectors, the man at my door, the men in the backyard, the car, running, jumping the fence, hiding behind trash bins. Rochelle didn't interrupt once, not with a sigh, not with a judgment, not with a single word. She just listened, eyes sharp, arms crossed, jaw clenched tight. When she finished, she pointed at Dana. "Stand up." Dana flinched. "Why?" "Because I said so." Dana stood. Rochelle walked right up to her, nose to nose, and whispered, "You brought wolves to your sister's door. Wolves. Do you understand what that means?" Dana burst into tears. "I know. I'm sorry. Nope, no apologies. Apologies are what people say when the damage ain't too deep. This is marrow deep, baby. This is harm that steals sleep and peace and whole futures." Dana cried harder. Rochelle stepped back. "Sit." Dana collapsed onto the couch again. Then Rochelle turned to me. "You got your phone?" I told her. "They took it." "Good. Less ways for them to track you." "But I've got burners." She opened the drawer under her TV stand and pulled out a small black box. Inside were 3 prepaid flip phones, still in plastic wrap. Dana's voice cracked. "Auntie, how do you even have?" "Because I grew up in a time where you had to stay ready. Now hush." She tossed one to me. "Turn that on. Keep it silent." I did. Rochelle lowered herself into the chair across from us. "These men, did they have symbols, rings, tattoos, colors?" "No," I said quietly. "Just normal clothes." Dana whispered, "They're collectors for a guy named Victor Malone." Rochelle's eyes narrowed. "You damn fool." Dana cried harder. "I didn't know who he really was." "Nobody borrows money from Vic Malone by accident." My stomach tightened. Who is he? Rochelle leaned back, arms crossed, voice low. He's not a gangbanger. He's not a loan shark. He's something in between. He keeps things clean, quiet, and out of the news. But he's dangerous. Very dangerous. I swallowed hard. What does he do to people who can't pay him back? Rochelle didn't blink. Whatever he wants. Silence filled the room like heavy smoke. Dana curled into herself, crying into her hands. I felt anger rising in me. Hot, sharp, pulsing. Not the shatter kind of anger from before. Something clearer. Something that burned with direction. What do we do now? I asked. Rochelle stood, cracked her knuckles, and walked to the window to peek outside. We plan. We stay smart, and we stop reacting and start acting. Dana looked up terrified. Acting how? Rochelle turned to us, eyes cutting through the dim room with fierce intensity. We find Victor Malone. My breath caught. Why would we go near him? Because if you don't face him, he'll never stop sending people, never stop hunting, never stop looking for a way to squeeze you dry. My pulse quickened. You want to end this? She said. This is how. Dana's face went pale. We can't go to him. He'll kill us. Rochelle hid her head. No, he won't, because we're not going to him for pity. She walked toward me, stopped in front of me, placed her hand on my shoulder. We're going to him with leverage. I stared at her, confused. What leverage? Rochelle's mouth pulled into a tight, dangerous smile. Oh, baby, you have no idea the kind of power you're holding right now. I swallowed, unsure whether to be afraid or hopeful. And then Rochelle said something that made my entire world tilt on its axis. Nina, Victor Malone didn't just take your money. He's been stealing from a whole lot of folks. And you might be the key to bringing him down. Dana choked. You want us to go up against Vic Malone? Are you insane? Rochelle pointed at her. You got us into this. Now you gonna help us get out. Dana shook her head in horror. No, I can't face him. You won't be alone. Neither will you. But this ends because we end it, not because we hide. She looked at me, really looked at me. Nina, do you want your life back? I felt something inside me harden. Yes, I whispered. Do you want justice? Yes. Do you want your daughter to see her mama stand tall again? My throat tightened. More than anything. Rochelle smiled. Slow and sure. Good, she said. Then get some rest, because tomorrow we go to war. My stomach churned with terror and adrenaline and a fire I didn't know lived inside of me. Dana whispered, Nina, are you really gonna do this? I turned toward her, and the answer left my lips like a promise carved in stone. I'm done being hunted. A beat passed, then another. Then Rochelle said quietly, good, because at sunrise, we make our move. And somewhere deep inside my chest, fear and fury fused into something dangerously close to courage.
I barely slept. Every time I drifted off, my mind replayed the same scene. The shadow moving across my window, the man stepping into my backyard, the calm, chilling voice saying, ladies, let's not make this difficult. By sunrise, my nerves felt raw. Rochelle's kitchen was quiet, except for the low hum of the refrigerator and the soft clink of her spoon stirring instant coffee. Dana sat at the table, arms wrapped around her stomach like she was holding herself together. Rochelle didn't look tired at all. If anything, she looked sharper in the morning light, focused, ready, dangerous in the way only a woman who survived the worst parts of life can be. She slid a mug toward me. Drink. You'll need the strength. I raised the cup with trembling hands. Tell me the plan. Not yet, she said. Eat something first. Your body's in fight or flight. You need fuel. I can't eat. Yes, you can, she said, not unkindly, but firm. Fear don't run your body today. You do. So I forced down half a piece of toast while my stomach twisted and flipped like a dryer drum. Dana didn't touch her plate. Rochelle finally sat down with us. She leaned forward, elbows on the table. All right, here's what we're doing. Dana straightened in her chair. I did too, bracing myself. Rochelle folded her hands. Victor Malone has a weak spot. Everybody does. And I know exactly what his is.
I waited, heart pounding. His money, but not the money he lends out, the money he launders. Dana gasped. He launders money? Rochelle gave her a look. Baby, you borrowed 40 grand from a man who buys apartment buildings cash and never sets foot inside them. What did you think he was doing? Selling Avon? Dana shrank. Rochelle continued. He runs everything through 2 shell companies. They look legitimate on paper, but anybody with the right eye can see the inconsistencies. I blinked. How do you know all this? Rochelle gave me a dry smile. Your auntie lived a life before she found the Lord in a nursing assistant certification. Don't ask questions you don't want answers to. Fair enough. She went on. Victor thinks he's invisible because he doesn't show his face in half the trouble he stirs up. He hides behind men he pays well and treats poorly. But every man has a paper trail, even one who thinks he's smarter than the system. Dana whispered, how does this help us? Rochelle tapped the burner phone she gave me, because I've been gathering evidence for years. Addresses, business filings, real owner names tucked behind fake ones, deposits that don't match reported income, and a list of people he's shaken down. My eyes widened. You've been watching him? Longer than you know, she said. I never had enough leverage to make a move. But you, she pointed at me, you're the missing piece. Confusion pricked at me. How? Rochelle exhaled, slow and heavy. Because he messed up when he stole from you. He left a digital footprint that can turn into a noose. Dana looked sick. You want us to blackmail him? No, she said calmly. Blackmail gives him power. We're doing something smarter. What's that? I asked. We're going to give him a choice. A clean one. Dana frowned. What choice? Rochelle's tone went cold as steel. Either he clears your debt, pays you back your full 42 grand, and leaves this family alone forever, or we make his entire operation public. I blinked. Public how? Rochelle lifted a USB drive from her sweatshirt pocket and dropped it onto the table with a soft clink. I've been building a little care package for the police, the IRS, and 3 investigative journalists who owe me favors. My jaw dropped. Auntie? She leaned back, folding her arms. We don't have to fight fire with fire. We fight it with truth. Dana shook her head frantically. He'll kill us. Rochelle narrowed her eyes. Not if we do this smart. Not if we control the timing. Not if we make sure he knows he's more exposed than you are. My hands trembled under the table. The plan was terrifying, risky, wild, but strangely, it made sense. What do you need me to do? Rochelle smiled, proud. Be brave, follow instructions, and speak from a place he'll understand. Ice crawled through me. You mean I have to talk to him? Not in person, she said quickly. Not ever. But you'll call him with this burner phone, and you'll read exactly what I tell you. Dana gasped. No! Nina can't call him. I'll do it. She cut her off. He won't believe you. He thinks you're weak, a pushover. He's not scared of you. She turned to me. Nina, you ready? My stomach twisted. My lungs tightened. My pulse thudded thickly in my neck. But I saw my daughter's face, her graduation robe, her future, and I saw mine. I'm ready, I said quietly. Rochelle nodded once. Good. We leave in 10. I blinked. Leave? Where are we going? She stood. To a public place, a crowded one, neutral ground, far away from your house and far away from anywhere he'd try something stupid. Dana's voice shook. Where? Rochelle grabbed her keys. The riverfront farmers market, wide open, cameras everywhere, families, vendors, tourists. Perfect place to make a dangerous man behave. I swallowed hard. Dana stood, wringing her hands. Are you sure this will work? Rochelle smirked. No, but I'm sure we're done being victims. And as we stepped out of her apartment into the bright morning sun, I felt it. The fear, the rage, the exhaustion, all swirling together, hardening into something sharp and unbreakable. We weren't running anymore. This time, we were walking straight toward the storm, and the storm didn't know we were coming.
I didn't realize how loud the world was until we stepped into the farmer's market. Kids laughing, vendors shouting prices, music coming from a guy playing guitar near the fountain, the smell of kettle corn mixing with grilled onions and and cinnamon apples. It should have felt comforting. It didn't. Every sound felt too sharp. Every movement made me flinch. Every man who brushed past us made my stomach drop. Rochelle walked in front, cutting through the crowd like she owned the pavement. Dana stayed close to me, shaking so badly I could feel it. She squeezed my arm. "Mina, maybe we shouldn't do this. We have to," I whispered, but I placed my hand over hers. "We can't keep living scared." "I can't." Dana didn't respond. We reached a row of picnic tables near the water. Rochelle picked one furthest from the trees, but closest to the main walkway. "Sit," she said. We did. Rochelle pulled out the burner phone and set it on the table like it was a weapon. She slid a folded piece of paper toward me. "This is the script. Read it exactly. No improvising, no emotion, just facts." My throat went dry. "And he'll answer?" "Oh, he'll answer." Rochelle leaned back, watching the crowd with sharp eyes. "He always answers unknown numbers. Can't resist the chance to intimidate someone." Dana whimpered quietly. I unfolded the paper. My heart thudded. Script. "You stole $42,000 from my account. I know who ordered it. I know what your men did to me last night. I know about the shell companies, the false filings, and the laundering. You have 1 hour to deposit $42,000 back into my account and clear Dana's debt. If you don't, this information goes to the police, the IRS, and 3 journalists. I don't want to hear from you again. You'll get confirmation once the money clears. This is your only warning." My hands trembled so hard, the paper rattled. Rochelle placed her hand on my wrist, steadying it. "Deep breath," I tried. Air got stuck in my chest, but I forced it out. Dana watched the walkway like she expected men in black suits to come charging through the market at any second. Rochelle nodded. "Call him." I stared at the burner phone. This could ruin everything or save everything. With numb fingers, I dialed the number Rochelle recited earlier, the one that belonged to a phone he used for business. I pressed call. The ringing buzzed in my ear. Once, twice, 3, 4. Click. A breath on the other end. A soft exhale. Then a deep, controlled voice. "Who is this?" My heart slammed hard. My breath caught. Rochelle mouthed, "Read the script." I swallowed. "You stole $42,000 from my account. I know who ordered it. I know what your men did to me last night." Silence. Then the man chuckled, low and amused. "Do you now? I know what your men did to me last night." The laughter stopped. The silence sharpened. In the background, I heard a door close. He was moving. Every part of me screamed to hang up, but I forced myself on. "And I know about the shell companies, the false filings, and the laundering." This time, the silence wasn't confusion. It was danger. "Little girl, you are speaking on things you do not understand." My hand shook. The phone nearly slipped. Rochelle squeezed my knee hard, snapping my focus back. "You have 1 hour. 1 hour to deposit $42,000 back into my account and clear Dana's debt." Dana covered her mouth with both hands. "If you don't, this information goes to the police, the IRS, and 3 journalists." A long inhale came from the other end, measured, calculating. "And where did a daycare teacher get information like that?" I opened my mouth, choked, looked at Rochelle. She mouthed, "Stick to script. I don't want to hear from you again. You'll get confirmation once the money clears." Rochelle held up 3 fingers. 3, 2, 1. I finished the last line. "This is your only warning." And I hung up. My whole body shook. Dana let out a sob, covering her face. Rochelle snatched the phone and turned it off. Good girl. I stared across the market, vision blurry, heart pounding painfully. "Do you think he'll do it?" I whispered. Rochelle didn't answer immediately. She looked out over the crowd, eyes scanning everyone, assessing threats, reading movements. After a long, heavy moment, she finally spoke. "He's not scared of you." "Not yet." I felt my stomach drop. "But you scared him enough to make him think." Dana wiped her face. "So, what now?" Rochelle stood abruptly. "Now we move." "Move?" I repeated. She nodded. "We don't stay in one place after making a man like that angry, even in public." Dana stood too, stumbling. "Where are we going?" I asked. Rochelle picked up her bag, her posture tense and alert. A hotel, she said. One with cameras, a lobby full of people, and an elevator that needs a key card to reach the rooms. My heart pounded. How long do we have? Rochelle checked her watch. 1 hour, minus the 3 minutes we just used. She looked at me, her expression deadly serious. Nina, whatever happens next, you need to be brave. I nodded. Though my knees felt weak, we started moving through the crowd. Every shadow felt too close. Every man looked suspicious. But halfway to the parking lot, my phone buzzed. Not the burner. My real phone. My stomach lurched when I saw the notification. Unknown number. 1. New text message. Rochelle grabbed the phone from me before I could touch it. She unlocked it and read the message silently. Her eyebrows shot up. Is it him? Dana whispered, trembling. Rochelle looked at me slowly. Her voice was tight, controlled, almost strained. Oh yeah? It's him? She turned the screen toward us. The message was short, just 4 words. 4 words that made my blood turn to ice. Look behind you, Nina.
For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Those 4 words glowed on my screen, bright and poisonous. Look behind you, Nina. My blood froze. Dana let out a tiny gasp. Rochelle didn't blink, didn't flinch. She reacted instantly, grabbing both our wrists and pulling us forward. Don't turn around, she murmured, low and sharp. Not even a glance. Move. We followed her, weaving through the crowd, my legs moving on instinct even though my mind felt like it had shattered into pieces. I could barely hear anything, just white noise and my own heartbeat slamming in my ears. Rochelle, I whispered, is he? Don't talk. Keep walking. We crossed into the parking lot. Rochelle lifted her chin slightly, checking shadows, reflections in car windows, people standing near vehicles. Her grip tightened. Dana's voice quivered. What if he's close enough to hurt us? Rochelle didn't slow, didn't break stride. If he was that close, he wouldn't have warned her. I didn't know if that made me feel better or worse. We reached Rochelle's SUV. She popped the locks and practically shoved us inside. Dana got in the back, tears streaming silently, hands shaking like she couldn't stop them. I climbed into the passenger seat, chest tight. The message burned into my mind like a brand. Rochelle slid in, slammed the door, and locked the vehicle. Then she reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a small handheld mirror. She rolled her window down 2 inches and angled the mirror outward, scanning behind us. Her jaw clenched. I don't see anyone approaching. Good. But he's watching us, or has someone watching us. My fingertips tingled with dread. Rochelle, what does he want? Oh, sweetheart. She started the car, eyes fixed firmly on the rearview mirror. He wants to scare you. And he's doing a damn good job. The SUV pulled out of the lot. Rochelle took a winding path. Left, right, left again, never staying on one road for long. Only after 10 minutes of silence did she speak. He texted because he's not sure how much you know, she said. He's trying to see how scared you are, whether you'll fold. I swallowed. My throat felt painfully tight. And if I do, he wins, she said simply. He keeps the money, he keeps Dana under his thumb, and he teaches both of you to stay quiet. Dana sobbed softly behind us. I can't go back to him. I can't. You're not, Rochelle said firmly. Not after tonight. The SUV turned into a large hotel lot, one of those big chain places near the highway, with huge signs, heavy foot traffic, and cameras everywhere. Rochelle parked near the front, under a bright lamp, then faced us fully. Listen carefully. We have 40 minutes left. He hasn't made a move yet, which tells me he's thinking. That's good. A man like him doesn't think unless he's worried. Worried about what? I asked. Rochelle leaned forward, elbows on the steering wheel. That you're not alone anymore. Dana wiped her nose. But what happens if he refuses? What if he tries to hurt us? Rochelle's expression hardened. Then I ruin him. For the first time that day, I felt a small flicker of hope. We climbed out of the car and walked quickly into the hotel lobby. Warm lights, families checking in, luggage rolling across the floor, normalcy everywhere. Except inside my chest where a storm still raged. Rochelle approached the front desk with confidence. We need a room. 2 beds. The clerk checked us in without a hint of suspicion. She handed us the key cards, and we headed to the elevators. Dana's voice shook. What if he tries to find us here? Rochelle pressed the elevator button. He won't get past the cameras. And even if he does, he's not stupid enough to make a scene in front of 50 witnesses. The elevator ride was painfully slow. My palms were sweaty, my heart thundering in my chest. Finally, we reached the 6th floor. The hallway stretched out long and quiet. Rochelle scanned ahead, then behind, then motioned for us to follow. When the door shut behind us, I felt, just for a moment, a tiny breath of relief, but only for a moment, because my phone buzzed again, loud, violent, like the sound itself knew it had power over me. A text from the same unknown number. Rochelle snatched it before I could blink. She read it, her lips parted slightly. Not fear, but surprise. She handed it to me slowly. I braced myself and read the message. You're braver than you look. Another message came seconds later. You're not the only one with friends. Then a picture of my daughter standing in the school parking lot, taken that morning. My vision blurred. My knees buckled. I grabbed the edge of the bed to stop myself from collapsing. No. Oh God. Dana covered her mouth, horrified. Rochelle snatched the phone back, zooming in on the image, studying every detail. That's not today. The clothes are wrong, lighting's wrong. He used an old photo. I blinked rapidly. Are you sure? If he had someone watching your daughter right now, he would have sent a fresh picture. He's bluffing, trying to break you psychologically. Knowing that should have helped, it didn't. I sank onto the edge of the bed, shaking violently. I can't do this. I can't put her at risk. Rochelle knelt in front of me, gripping my hands. You listen to me, she said firmly. He's desperate. Men like him only throw fake threats when they're running out of real ones. I'm scared, I whispered. I know, but fear ain't the enemy. It's a warning system. And right now, she squeezed my hands tighter, it's telling you you're close. Too close for him to stay comfortable. My bottom lip trembled. But he has the money. He has all the power. Rochelle shook her head slowly. Not anymore. Before I could ask what she meant, her phone buzzed. She looked down, her eyes widened. Then she turned the screen towards us. It was a bank alert, not mine. Dana's. A new deposit. The exact amount she owed the man. Every penny. Dana collapsed to her knees, sobbing into her hands. Oh God! Oh God! Then my phone buzzed next. Rochelle grabbed it, scanned the notification, and let out a slow, unbelieving exhale. Her voice trembled slightly for the first time since I met her. He paid you too, Nina. My heart stopped. 42,000, she whispered. Every cent. Dana cried harder. Relief, shock, fear, all of it. I sat frozen, unable to move. He paid. But why? Before I could process anything, another text appeared on my phone. Rochelle read it aloud. This is not over. She lowered the phone slowly, then looked at me with eyes sharp enough to cut glass. He's scared, but cornered men are dangerous. Another buzz came, another message, and this one sent a bolt of ice straight down my spine. You won the first round. Now let's see how long you can stay ahead. I stared at the glowing screen, my heart pounding with dread. Then came one more message. Just one word, a name. Jasmine. My daughter's name. I shot to my feet, breathless. Rochelle grabbed my shoulders to steady me. I could barely speak, barely think. He knows her name. He knows my baby's name. Rochelle nodded grimly, and then she said something that made my knees nearly give out. He's not done with you, Nina. Not even close. And before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. A call this time from the same unknown number. Rochelle's eyes widened. Don't answer it, she whispered. But the phone kept ringing, loud, insistent, until finally it stopped, only to be replaced by a new text. 5 words. 5 words that made everything inside me crumble. I'm coming to see you.
The moment I read those words, I'm coming to see you, my whole world narrowed into a tunnel of cold fear. Dana gasped. Rochelle lunged forward and snatched the phone out of my hands like it was a live grenade. Stay calm, she ordered.
her voice low and controlled, even as tension rippled off her. Panic is exactly what he wants, but calm felt impossible. My hands were shaking so violently I had to sit back down on the bed. I couldn't feel my fingers, my chest, my legs, just an overwhelming surge of terror crashing through me. "He knows where we are," I whispered. "He's coming here." "How? How does he even know?" Rochelle held up a hand. "He doesn't know. If he did, he wouldn't send a warning first. He's testing your reaction." Dana paced the room, her breathing ragged. "We need to leave. Now. We need to go. We need to run." "No." Rochelle's voice sliced through Dana's panic. "Running blind gets you caught. We stay until I say move." Rochelle hit the power button on my phone, shutting it off completely. Then she took Dana's and turned that one off too. No more phones. No more signals, no more chances for him to track anything. My heart hammered. "But Jasmine, my baby, what if he—" Rochelle crouched in front of me, gripping my shoulders firmly. "Your daughter is safe, Nina. He used an old photo. He's bluffing. If he knew anything real, he would have already acted. You understand me." I tried to nod, but the movement came out brittle and uneven. "We're going to end this tonight. Not next week, not in court, not in fear. Tonight." I swallowed hard. "How?" Rochelle stood. "By making him show his face." Dana's head shot up. "Rochelle, no, absolutely not. That man, he doesn't do face-to-face unless he's about to, unless he thinks he can intimidate someone." "Exactly. So, we give him the chance." My voice cracked. "Rochelle, you're asking me to let him come here?" "No. I'm asking you to help me catch him making a mistake." Before I could ask another question, Rochelle turned to Dana. "You remember the diner on Pine Street? The one with the neon red sign?" Dana paled. "Yes. That's where he does his meetings, where he feels comfortable, where he thinks he has control." Rochelle grabbed her jacket. "We're going there." I stood so fast the room tilted. "I'm not going anywhere near that man." "You won't have to." Rochelle slung her bag over her shoulder. "But we're going to make him believe you will." My stomach twisted. Rochelle pointed to the hotel room phone. "Call the diner. Leave a message with the manager. Say you're coming to settle things with him at 8 o'clock. That'll get back to him fast." Rochelle nodded. "That's the point." "And then what?" I asked, my voice barely a breath. "And then," Rochelle said darkly, "I intercept him." 2 hours later, we were in Rochelle's SUV again, parked across from the glowing red diner sign flickering against the night sky. Cold wind rattled through the cracked windows. My nerves were stretched tight like wire. "Rochelle, are you sure?" "Yes." She checked her watch. "He'll be here any minute." Dana hugged her arms around herself in the back seat. "What if he brings someone else?" "Then they'll be on camera too." I frowned. "Camera?" Rochelle motioned across the street. I looked, and my breath caught. It wasn't just a diner. Police cruisers were tucked into alleys on both sides. Officers sat at nearby cables, pretending to eat. A detective leaned casually against a street lamp. The whole block was crawling with law enforcement. "You called the police?" I whispered. Rochelle shook her head. "I didn't have to. One of the journalists I sent the files to has a brother on the force. They've been building a case for months. They needed a final piece, a clean moment where he shows up expecting fear, leverage, control. And that's tonight?" Dana whispered. Rochelle nodded once. My heart pounded as a sleek black car turned the corner. I recognized it immediately. My stomach dropped. "There," Dana whispered. "That's him." The car slowed, eased into a parking spot, and he stepped out, tall, expensive coat, confident walk. A man used to people trembling in his presence. He scanned the street, waiting, expecting me, hunting for fear. 2 undercover officers moved before I even saw them. They came from behind, quiet, precise. And the moment he turned to look inside the diner, they grabbed him hard. He swung wildly, shouting, furious and shocked. Another officer rushed in to help as he cursed and fought, spitting threats at anyone who would listen. "You don't know who you're messing with. You think she's worth this? That woman is nothing." His words cut off with a choked grunt as his face was slammed against the hood of his own car. I flinched. Rochelle didn't. That
Rochelle said calmly, is what happens when you corner a bully. Dana clutched my arm. Oh my God, oh my God. We watched as the officers cuffed him, searched him, read him his rights, and loaded him into the back of a cruiser. It felt unreal. The man who terrorized Dana, the man who stole from me, the man who threatened my child, gone, just like that. When the cruiser pulled away, Rochelle finally exhaled. That's done, she said softly. You're free. Dana collapsed into sobs, loud, ugly, cathartic sobs. I turned and wrapped my arms around her while she cried into my shoulder. I didn't cry. Not yet. Not until the adrenaline faded and the truth finally sunk in. I wasn't powerless. I wasn't helpless. And I wasn't alone. Hours later, back at the hotel, I stood by the window, staring at the city lights, while Dana slept curled up under the blankets. Rochelle approached quietly. You okay? She asked. I nodded, though my throat burned. Thank you for everything. She shrugged like she'd merely held a door open. You're stronger than you think. You just needed backup. I wiped at my eyes. What happens now? You rebuild, bit by bit, day by day, and you protect what's yours. I looked down at my hands, steady now, no longer shaking with fear. Rochelle, seriously, why did you help me really? She hesitated, then answered quietly, because years ago, no one helped me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she squeezed my shoulder and headed toward the door. If you need me, you know how to reach me. The door clicked shut behind me. I sank onto the bed beside my sleeping daughter and exhaled a breath that felt like it had been trapped in my chest for weeks. The money was back. The threat was gone. My dignity, shattered, stolen, stomped on, was finally mine again. For the first time in a long time, I felt strong. I felt whole. I felt free. And if someone listening to my story is standing on the edge of that same cliff, afraid, betrayed, lost, I want them to know this. You can come back from anything. You can rise again, and you deserve peace. If you learned something new from my life story, please like this video, subscribe for more stories like mine, and comment down below where you're watching this video from. I'd truly love to know.